Because of my age and my background, I feel I have a reason to be here today and talk to you. You see, I am of the last generation of witnesses of the Holocaust, and I feel it is my responsibility to remind you of the 6 million Jews that were murdered in our century. I think of myself as a survivor, and I'm fortunate to be here and tell you my story. Up to the age of 12, I felt safe in my country. I had a wonderful family, and though my family was not rich, we lived in a cozy apartment, always had clothes to wear and enough food to eat. I was the youngest of 3, went to a good school, had many friends, went ice skating in the winter and swimming in the summer. My friends and I met in a park. Yes, Vienna has beautiful parks. We played games and went on hikes in the Vienna woods and talked about our future and what we wanted to be when we grew up. Then, in March 1938, my dreams, my world fell apart. Hitler occupied Austria, and the Austrian people never resisted him. There was fear and anxiety amongst the Jews because we knew that Hitler wanted to exterminate all the Jews of Germany and Austria, and my family was Jewish. The next day, my best friend came to my house and told me that we could not be friends any longer. Why, I asked. Because you're Jewish, I cried, because I couldn't understand. I said, but I was Jewish yesterday and 4 years ago when we became friends. My world started to fall apart, but that was just the beginning. After that, my father lost his job. We could no longer attend the schools we went to, and we were forced to move out of our apartment and move to the unwalled part, to the unwalled ghetto of Vienna. Soon there were signs in the parks. Jews and dogs are not allowed to be here. And swastikas were painted on store windows. Do not buy in this store, they are Jews. Everyone knew that they had to leave Austria and go to whatever country would take them in. My friends and I stopped dreaming of a bright future. We were now hoping that our families could survive. People started to send their children away to safety. My sister was 16, and she went with a youth aliyah, which is a teen transport to Israel. For parents to part with their children and for children to leave their families was a heartbreak. Then came the 10th of November. On my way home from school, I saw houses on fire because the Nazis burned all the synagogues, and there were many in that area. They smashed all the windows and stores, and that was Kristallnacht. And when I came closer to my house, there were gangs of Hitler Youth who kicked old men and made them scrub sidewalks. And that, my friends, was just the beginning of the final solution. My brother was out. He did not come home that night. In fact, he did not come home for the next 6 months. We soon heard that all Jewish males that were on the streets that day were arrested. Mind you, not for a crime, but for being Jewish. Nobody knew where they could be until we got a postcard. He was transferred to the Dachau concentration camp. Fathers, sons, brothers were all missing, and we feared for their lives. In our neighborhood, a soup kitchen was started because people were beginning to run out of food. Every day I had to go with 2 pots to get some food and a loaf of bread. I hated the food and I hated the smell of scared people. There were now 2 choices for the people in the concentration camps. If one could come up with an overseas visa or face death in the camps. We heard horror stories of masses of prisoners being starved, tortured, and gassed. We were the lucky ones who had relatives in the U.S. who sent us an affidavit that made it possible for my mother, brother, and I to immigrate to America. On that basis, my brother was released and came home looking like a skeleton. It was a miracle that he survived. When my group of friends still saw each other on an occasion, we cried and said goodbye because everyone was leaving for a different country that was willing to take them in. And we did not think that we would ever see each other again. When our family was preparing to leave, we were told by the American consulate that my father could not go with us because he was born in Hungary and the Hungarian quota was closed. What a shock. He came to Austria when he was 13 years old. He fought in World War I for the Austrians. He was a prisoner in Siberia for 4 years. No way, the Americans said. He is a Hungarian. The decision had to be made that we should leave, and we're hoping that my father could come soon after. When he took us to the train, I thought my heart would break to say goodbye. And little did I know that I would never see him again. He was shipped to Auschwitz, one of the largest concentration camps, where he and thousands of other innocent people were killed. Hitler's madness reached other countries too, and more than 6 million Jews lost their lives. Excuse me.